I was tying the tiny ribbon around my daughter Lily's wrist when she asked, in that small voice kids use when they already know the answer, "Mom, am I pretty enough today?" She was 6. 6. Still losing baby teeth. Still mispronouncing words like spaghetti. Still dragging her blanket everywhere like it was armor. And somehow she already knew to question herself. I brushed a strand of hair out of her eyes. "You're perfect. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." She nodded, but her shoulders were hunched like she was bracing for a storm. I didn't know yet that the storm was standing downstairs, wearing a $600 bridesmaid dress and a smirk. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. When we walked into my parents' living room, my sister Amber looked at Lily like she was a stain on the rug. "Oh my God," she said, loud enough for the whole family to hear. "Is she seriously wearing that? Aren't flower girls supposed to be, small?" Lily froze. She didn't breathe. She didn't blink, just stood there holding her little basket as if maybe stillness could save her. My mom laughed first, a sharp, ugly sound. "Amber, stop. She's just sturdy." Dad chimed in with a snort. "More like built for football, not weddings. You sure she won't break the aisle?" And then Amber leaned down until she was eye level with my daughter and said the sentence that snapped something in me clean in half. "You're too fat to be a flower girl, sweetie. But it's okay. Not everyone gets to be pretty." Lily's face crumpled like paper. I was across the room before I even realized I'd moved. "Amber, shut your mouth." Mom rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. It's just honesty. You always overreact." "You're humiliating a child," I said through my teeth. Dad puffed his chest. "No one's humiliating anyone. She just needs to learn early where she stands." Lily looked up at me, eyes wet. "Mom, do I have to leave?" Amber smirked. "Well, obviously she can't be in the photos. We don't want people asking who the plus-size toddler is." Mom and Dad burst out laughing like they were at a comedy show. Something inside me went cold. A stillness. A decision forming without emotion, just clarity. This time, they weren't getting away with it. Not the insults, not the cruelty, not the humiliation of my child, but revenge wasn't the first thing in my mind. Getting my daughter away from them was. I scooped her up and told my parents, "We're leaving." Mom waved me off. "Don't be dramatic. It was a joke." "No," I said. "A joke is funny. This was abuse." Dad pointed at the door. "If you walk out, don't come back crying when you realize you overreacted. We're done coddling you." Amber added, "Yeah, go ahead. Take your oversized kid and leave. We don't need the aisle collapsing." Lily pressed her face into my neck because she knew if she looked at them again, she'd cry harder. I walked out, but the thing about walking away is that it's not always the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of something sharper. For days afterward, Lily wouldn't look at herself in the mirror. She kept tugging at her dress and asking if people thought she looked normal. She stopped eating her favorite foods. She stopped humming to herself. She stopped smiling in pictures. And every time she asked, "Mom, why did they laugh at me?" I felt a new shard of something blade-like grow inside my chest. I tried to ignore the buzzing phone calls, the texts from my mom saying I was ruining the family mood, that I owed Amber an apology for my tantrum. I ignored Amber posting pictures from the bridal rehearsal captioned "Real Beauty Only" with passive-aggressive winks. Then Mom sent a message that flipped everything. "If you want Lily in the wedding, you need to promise she won't embarrass us. She needs to wear something that hides her size." My hands started shaking as I read it. They didn't just insult my child. They wanted to control her, shape her, shrink her, humiliate her publicly again. And then Amber called, her voice dripping fake sweetness. "Hey sis, listen, I didn't mean it, but you know how sensitive she is. Maybe teach her confidence instead of acting like a victim. Also, send us a current photo of Lily so I can make sure the dress fits. Don't want surprises." I felt my pulse in my teeth. "Amber," I said quietly, because quiet was more dangerous than yelling. "You will never speak to my daughter again." She scoffed. "You're so dramatic. She's a kid. She'll forget." "No," I interrupted. "She won't, and I won't either." I hung up. That night, Lily crawled into my bed and whispered, "Mom, did I do something wrong?" I held her so tightly she could feel my heartbeat. "You did nothing wrong. They did." Her voice trembled. "Why don't they like me?" I swallowed hard. I couldn't tell her the truth, that my family only loved the versions of people they could belittle, control, or show off. But here's the thing. Amber and my parents thought they had power. They thought I would be the same daughter who swallowed insults, the same sister who kept the peace, the same scapegoat who apologized first. They thought humiliating my daughter would just be another family moment we pretend never happened. They didn't know I had a line. They didn't know Lily was the line. And they definitely didn't know what I was capable of protecting her. Because the quiet decision I made that night wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't distance. It wasn't poetic silence. It was a plan. A real, tangible, undeniable plan. And when it hit them, they would break. Not gently, not metaphorically, not spiritually. They would break in the exact way they broke my child, publicly, sharply, and without control. And for the first time in years, I felt something like power in my lungs again. I kissed Lily's forehead. "Go to sleep, baby. Mom's here." But while she slept, I stared at the ceiling, outlining every step. If they wanted to mock my daughter's worth, if they wanted to make her feel small, if they wanted to laugh at her pain, then they were about to learn the one truth they never believed. This time, I wouldn't come back crying. This time, they would. And Amber, who called my daughter too fat to stand beside her, would be the one begging. I don't know what I expected the next morning to feel like. Maybe I thought the house would feel different after everything that happened in that fitting room, after seeing my daughter curl into herself like she was apologizing for existing. But the house was the same stale smell of the old carpet, the same clatter of my mother's bracelets, the same distant hum of the TV my dad never actually watched. The only thing that felt different was my daughter, sitting on the edge of the sofa, still in her pajamas, trying to hide the way she kept pulling at her shirt. She never used to do that. She used to sit with her legs wide and her arms thrown back like she owned space. Now she was shrinking, like she was trying not to take up more than a few inches. I sat next to her and brushed her hair behind her ear. "You ready for breakfast?" I asked softly. She shook her head. "Not hungry." That hit me harder than anything. My daughter loved breakfast. Pancakes were her thing. She'd eat them plain, no syrup like some weird little ritual. "You want to talk?" I asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "Do I look wrong?" My throat tightened. "Baby, look at me." She lifted her eyes, damp and uncertain. "There is nothing wrong with you. Nothing. You hear me?" But Aunt Heather said, "I don't care what she said," I cut in. "She was mean. She was wrong. And she knew she was hurting you when she said it." My daughter swallowed hard. "Grandma was laughing." "I know," I said quietly. "And she was wrong too." She leaned into my side, and I wrapped an arm around her, hating how small she felt, hating how much power they took from her in 30 seconds. I stayed like that with her until I heard footsteps coming down the hall, my mother's, sharp and impatient, the kind of walk that always felt like a warning bell. She stepped into the room like she expected applause. "You're still here?" she scoffed. "You're supposed to be helping with the rehearsal setup." "I'm spending time with my daughter," I said calmly. "Well, maybe spend time teaching her not to cry over everything," she said. "Honestly, she's too sensitive. Gets that from you." I stood slowly, shifting my daughter behind me. "Mom, we're not doing this today." "Oh, I see," she said, crossing her arms. "You're still upset because Heather joked around. Yesterday. God, you're dramatic." "It was a joke. Heather jokes all the time." "She called my child too fat to be a flower girl," I said, trying to keep my voice even. My mother blinked once, then shrugged. She wasn't lying. My daughter flinched. And that did something to me. Something I didn't even know I was capable of before that second. I felt this coldness settle into my body, like something was rewiring itself in my chest. "You need to leave," I told my mother. She barked a laugh. This is my house. Then we're leaving. I turned, took my daughter's hand, and headed toward the hallway. My mother followed, her voice raising. You're being ridiculous, she snapped. You can't just walk out. You're part of the rehearsal. You're part of this family. I didn't stop. No, I said. We're the part of the family you pretend doesn't matter. She scoffed again. You always play victim. Always looking for someone to blame for your failures. You're just jealous your sister built something for herself. She didn't build anything, I said over my shoulder. You handed her everything. My mother's face froze, just for a beat, the first time in years I saw a crack in her mask, but she recovered fast. Don't project your insecurities onto us, she snapped. If you'd kept yourself together, maybe things would have been different for you. I didn't bother responding. I just grabbed our jackets from the hook and opened the front door. My daughter hesitated. Mom, are we really going? Yeah, baby, I said quietly. We're going. We got into my beat-up car, the one my mother always made snide remarks about, and I drove. I didn't even know where. I just needed distance between her and the woman who made her doubt her own reflection. We ended up at the lake, the same one my dad took us to when I was little, before my mom convinced him that affection was weakness and kindness meant you were being manipulated. I parked near the water and turned off the car. My daughter stared out at the lake, wiping her cheeks with the sleeve of her hoodie. Mom, she whispered, I don't want to be in the wedding anymore. My heart cracked. You don't have to be, I said. Not if you don't want to. Will they be mad? She asked. Yes, I admitted. But they've been mad at me my whole life. You don't owe them anything. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I don't want anyone to look at me. I kissed her forehead. No one gets to make you feel ashamed of yourself. Not even family. Especially not family. We stayed there for hours until my daughter finally fell asleep in the passenger seat. I watched her breathe, watched her chest rise and fall, realizing that if I let this moment pass, if I didn't do something now, she would grow up thinking this was normal, thinking cruelty was something she had to earn her way out of. No, that wasn't happening. I started the car again and drove back home, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. I needed to face what I had avoided for years, the dynamic I grew up in, the excuses I swallowed, the humiliation I tolerated. I walked into the house fast before my mother could start lecturing again. She was in the living room arranging decorations with Heather. They both froze when they saw me. Oh, look, Heather said with a smirk. The runaway returns. I didn't look at her. I walked straight up to my mother and said, My daughter is no longer your flower girl. My mother blinked. Excuse me? She's done, I said, and we won't be at the wedding. Heather gasped dramatically. You can't be serious. My mother narrowed her eyes. You are not ruining your sister's big day because your kid got her feelings hurt. I leaned forward slightly. She didn't get her feelings hurt. You and Heather hurt her. Heather rolled her eyes. Oh my God! And you're going to fix it, I said, voice low. You're going to tell her exactly what you meant. You're going to apologize. My mother's jaw dropped. I am not apologizing to a child. You will, I said, or you'll lose more than a flower girl. My mom crossed her arms. Oh, really? And what exactly do you think you can do? I smiled, not a nice smile, not a calm smile, a smile that came from the part of me that had been stepped on too many times. You'll see. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind her eyes, and I knew this wasn't going to be forgiven. This wasn't going to be brushed aside. This was where everything changed. This was where the part of me they never took woke up. This was where the payback started forming. Sharp and deliberate, not poetic, not quiet, but real. And this time, I wasn't the one who would end up begging. When Mom stormed into my house that night, I didn't flinch. She barged in like she owned the place, slamming the door so hard my picture frames rattled. Where is she? She barked. Where's your sister? She won't come out of her room. She won't eat. She's crying like someone died. What did you do? I leaned against the counter and waited for her to stop yelling. Katie peeked from the hallway, worried, but I gave her a small nod to go back to her room. She slipped away silently, hugging her teddy. Mom pointed at me with shaking fingers. "Fix your sister, right now. This is your fault." I almost laughed. Is it? Or did she finally see what she looks like when someone with power tells her no for once? Mom huffed. "You embarrassed her. You humiliated this family at that fitting." "Funny," I said. "I thought that was what you did to my daughter when you stood there laughing." Her eyes darkened. "Your child is too sensitive, and you're blowing this way out of proportion. You always have." That sentence hit a nerve because that was her favorite line growing up. Whenever I cried, whenever I begged, whenever I asked for fairness. I stepped closer. "No," I said calmly. "For the first time in my life, I'm handling this exactly right." She rolled her eyes. "What do you want? An apology?" "Fine. She's sorry. She said she's sorry. Happy? Let her be the maid of honor again." "There it is," I said softly. "The truth. You're not here because you care. You're here because you want your perfect little wedding lineup back." Mom didn't deny it, so I picked up the folder on my dining table and handed it to her. She opened it, then froze. The papers inside were printed copies of every email, every text, every screenshot I had documented over the years. Bullying, name-calling, favors forced on me, money taken, insults to my daughter, and especially the messages from last week. My sister mocking Katie's weight in the family group chat Mom never thought I'd see. Mom's face went ghost white. You're giving this to the pastor?" she whispered. "Already did," I said. "He's handling all wedding duties now, and he agreed with me on one thing. Katie will walk as the only flower girl, and the wedding party lineup is being changed." She stared at the folder like it was a bomb. "You're ruining her wedding." "No," I said. "She did that by trashing an innocent kid." Then came the breaking point. Mom sank onto a chair. "What will people think?" she whispered. That sentence, that, told me everything. She didn't care about Katie. She didn't care about me. Only appearances. I didn't need to explode. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need revenge that involved courts or banks or money or poetic metaphors. I went for something sharper. "Mom," I said, "the truth is simple. Katie is done being your punchline, and I am done being your backup plan." Mom's eyes widened when she realized what I meant. "You're not coming to the wedding?" she choked. I shook my head. "I'm not bringing my daughter anywhere she's mocked. And I'm not putting myself in a family photo where you'll crop me out later." Her voice cracked. "Your sister will beg you to come." "She's already begging." Mom froze. "She called 10 minutes ago," I said. "She left voicemails crying for me to please let her fix things before the pastor changes more roles, because without me, your family image falls apart." Mom stood, trembling with anger and fear. "You can't do this." "I already did." And then she said the thing that told me she finally understood her own downfall. "We need you." I nodded. "That's the point." Mom left the house without another word, and the second the door shut, Katie ran to me with wide, worried eyes. "Mommy," she whispered, "did I do something wrong?" I knelt in front of her and lifted her chin so she looked right at me. "No, baby," I said. "For the first time ever, they did." I hugged her so tight she squeaked. Her tiny arms clung around my neck like she was holding on to her whole world. And maybe she was. Because from that moment on, I promised myself she would never again live a childhood that looked anything like mine. And I meant every word. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.